by the state auditor, that there were, it was so incorrect and so badly entered that apparently there's as many as 42 babies under the age of 1 that were gang members, including 28 that were self-admitted gang members in the state, hundreds of people who had no purge date because their purge date was entered incorrectly, and of course horrible data in terms of entering neighborhoods that didn't exist, gangs that didn't exist, allegations that didn't exist. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. McGill. One more comment from Arthur. What's your last name?
The time started before I spoke, so I hope there's a little leeway for me. So, first of all, yeah, I do recognize that concerns about police brutality do need to be documented. I think this is something that should be happening right away. I don't think there should be any delay. I respect the implications regarding mental illness. I think that's a big issue here in the county. It's a little alarming to me. I see all these billboards throughout the county advertising these are the 5 stages that demonstrate mental illness. So I think the Sheriff's Department should be able to provide the data as well. I do get a little concerned, though, because I feel like there's an unfair bias that begins to permeate the media that the Sheriff's Department are ready to beat down anybody who's committing a crime. And I just want to speak on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, specifically stationed in Cudahy, California. I was at the City Council meeting on Monday when some very roguish and violent brown supremacists, La Raza thugs, had shown up and began to attack individuals. They stole the property from one gentleman. There were only 3 deputies that are normally assigned to that city council meeting, but then because of the rising violence, there was a gentleman in a bandana identified with the Antifa movement who punched a young man in the face 3 times. The sheriff's deputies took care of that situation very effectively. So I just want to say right now, there was no incidents of misconduct by the sheriff's deputies at that Cudahy City Council meeting. I think that the commendations for our law enforcement don't happen enough, especially in these cases where citizens such as myself who are concerned about the larger concerns regarding illegal immigration, we find ourselves under attack more than protected, even by some local police departments. So again, I don't have a problem with providing data of misconduct. But I would say for the Sheriff's Department specifically, I've had the best experiences with them. I feel safe in sheriff's jurisdictions, and I want to commend specifically those deputies in Cudahy, California. Thank you.
All right, so we've heard public comment on the resolution. Let me ask, I haven't asked before, I don't think I did. There's a motion to approve the resolution incorporating the amendments that have been discussed here, amendments by Commissioner Miller, Ocean, Stevens, and Rubin, incorporating those. Is it a motion to approve the resolution as amended?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I move that we approve the resolution as amended.
Right. And there's a second, Commissioner Miller. Is there further discussion of the resolution by members of the Commission? Okay, hearing none, let me all those in favor of the resolution as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Any abstentions? Raise your hand. All right, so the resolution as amended is approved by the Commission. We'll ask the Executive Director to finalize it, forward it to Sheriff McDonnell as the recommendations of this Commission, and as noted, we will ask for report back from the Sheriff's Department under Sheriff Labarge within 60 days. And our hope and our goal is that some or all of these will be actually implemented within 60 days, but we will expect a report back on the status within 60 days. All right, so now we're going to go to item 4 on the agenda. Item 4 is general public comment, an opportunity for the members of the public to comment and express their views to the Commission on general matters. Looks like we have a number of people that have signed up under item 4. I'm going to call the first 3, if they could all step forward for comment. First, we have Robin Diviston, Arthur Stopper, the 3 of you would step forward and to the microphone.
Put a bunch of people in prison.
You're pronouncing my last name
Put the stop.
My name's Sheriff Baca. I'm a member of We the People Rising.
That's why they want
Americans
to
first,
and
not illegal aliens.
what do you hear? I'm going to say.
I'm also a member of the Members Club. I can't find my own shirt right now. Fellow visitors all over, go by the alien. 2 years ago, I had a 5-time deportee who was driving drunk again. And I want to commemorate DeAndre Mitchell, who was burned in a fire in the West Lake. 5 Americans were killed, and illegal aliens set fire to the building. And I was at his court hearing for the murder. I want to actually commend the Sheriff's Department for taking every step they can to ensure the enforcement of our federal immigration laws. I do not agree with his argument about the county's decision to try to turn the county into some kind of a sanctuary. I'm being a little inarticulate. I think he's amended that, and I approved his decision to oppose Senate Bill 54. This disastrous piece of legislation is part of the reason why young men like DeAndre Mitchell are dead, along with Marcello Bizzarello, and an average of 25 Americans a day murdered by illegal aliens. I commend the Sheriff's Department for instituting, to the best degree, their PEP program, ensuring as much cooperation as possible with ICE. His argument is to ensure that ICE doesn't have to go into neighborhoods and go after individual families directly. Although at this point, we need to ensure that Americans are taken care of, American citizens are protected no matter what their background. It is very offensive to me that the ACLU spends more time wanting to promote the needs and entitlements of illegal aliens and not American citizens. It's civil liberties, and civil liberties implies citizenship. Americans need to be put first. Americans first, of all backgrounds. And so, to make it very clear, we have victims of all backgrounds who are affected by illegal immigration and illegal aliens. This has to stop. I commend the Sheriff for his efforts. Please support him in those. Thank you.
Now for Ms. Gibson. And then Temple.
My name's Robin Vidston, and I'm also with the Remembrance Project and We the People Rising. We just wanted to attend the meeting today to say we support law enforcement at the sheriff's level as well as at the federal level. We are a great nation because we are a nation of laws. And our laws currently clearly state you are to enter our country legally and reside in our country legally. So in regard to the recent immigration enforcement apprehensions in Los Angeles, that is what is going forward, enforcement of immigration laws. And we need the global population to understand that we have a new president, a new attorney general, and their focus is removal of criminal aliens. The shirt that Mr. Shopper showed, the person in our country illegally that set the fire that killed those 5 Americans, he had been arrested for drug abuse in Los Angeles, as well as one time he kicked a woman in the head 10 times. He was allowed to stay in Los Angeles until his crime of killing 5 Americans occurred. If our laws had been enforced, that individual would not have been in Los Angeles. So we are just here to say we support law enforcement. We believe that those here in our country illegally should be subject to removal. Thank you.
Ms. Temple.
Those middle fingers are not appropriate, sir.
How about civil rights?
Absolutely.
You don't believe in them?
Let's have order. We're going to have Ms. Temple speak. Ms. Temple.
My name is Chanel Temple, and I'm also with We the People and also Blacks in Sanctuary States. LA County is out of control with illegal immigration. Blacks are constantly under attack. Not only have we been misplaced, lied on, misplaced off our jobs, we are being under attack and murdered. Boyle Heights, a couple years ago, 7 Latino gangs and bangers were arrested because they were firebombing Black African American citizens. I don't feel safe in my country. I have worked out there over 3 decades and paid taxes and contribute to this system. I have my birth certificate. I was born here. My people have been here since the beginning of this country. And the black community is under attack. And LA County is not doing anything about it. This is wrong. The Constitution said all men are created equal. Okay. That was a rumor because blacks were captured as slaves. We got over that. You asked for us to forgive you. Now we're under attack again. And now people are coming from other countries attacking blacks. And I feel like I'm being harassed. I'm being followed. I'm being threatened. I feel like a runaway slave. This is unfair and we're going to shut it down. It needs to stop. We are human beings. And regardless, it's not only Boyle Heights, it was Hawaiian Gardens, it has been in Torrance, it's all over the place. It has to be recognized and it has to be stopped. It should not take an act of Congress to get these monsters off of killing black. Jamil Shaw, LA, Cheryl Green, in Long Beach, also a twin body in Norwalk, murdered by illegal immigrants. It's got to stop. Enough is
Thank
enough.
you, Ms. Temple. Let me call up Elsa Algieri, Miriam Folger, and Mr. Khan. Amit Khan.
Hello, good morning. I just would like to say I'm an immigrant from El Salvador. I've been living here since 1989. My mom just became a citizen 2 days ago. I'm very proud of her. I just want to tell you how we immigrants feel. I also represent the Latino community for Make California Great Again. We feel that we're being pushed aside. We feel that every person should do it.
We can't hear you. Can you fix the microphone?
Every person should do it the right way. We waited. Where I work, where my line of work is, I do home health care. Since last year, December 8th, that my full-time terminated because my patient passed away. I've been having a hard time finding another full-time job because I have a lot of competition with illegal immigrants that are taking our jobs, and they do it for cash and much cheaper rate. So I just want to ask all of you to please do the right thing, which is do help Americans first. We did it the right way, and I think that everybody deserves to be treated equally. We need to stand with the people of California. We need to stand with President Trump, and we need to do everything the right way. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Folger and Mr. Khan.
I can't begin to tell you. My parents are turning over their graves to see what's going on here in this country. Okay. My parents are probably turning over their graves to see what the tragedy, the events that are taking place in our country here. Okay? You know, this is not good. Very bad. And my father said, I said to my dad, it's probably going to happen here again. He said, no, it can't happen because we're supposed to follow the U.S. Constitution. They can't violate it. Oh, there's no way it can happen. Okay, they said that in Germany in the 1930s. It can't happen there again. The Jews have been slaughtered for centuries, and it has nothing to do whether, how religious you were. Okay, and that's the old days. Today, things are different, except now we're facing one other bad element. 2 elements, actually. That is Islam, and also, we're also facing the radical Islam. Okay, the radical Islam in the Medina part of the Quran needs to be taken out. It needs to be reformed. Okay, this is what we're dealing with. Go to politicalislam.com. Okay, The other part is communism. Okay? You people are laughing, you think it's funny? The communists have infiltrated this country, and it's legal in Israel as well, and it should be all made illegal to have communism, period. In Western culture, Western civilization. We are dealing with massive people who want to destroy a lot of human beings in this world. A lot of people. I support our sheriff. Thank you. Funny? I can't believe you people laugh.
I think it's very...
You don't believe in freedom.
Listen, we...
They are.
Look, the commission's in session, let's...
One of
Like you don't have anything left.
One of the beautiful things about living in America is that
There's some people
we
that
live
can
in
make wrong all the
democracy, and
time.
we all have constitutional righs whereby we can come and voice them. But I want to emphasize to the chair that we keep this to what the item is at hand. Opportunity for members to publicly address the COC on items of interest that are within the subject matter of our jurisdiction. And there's a time and a place for everything. However, let's keep this within the subject matter of what the COC have been empowered to do and what is on our agenda. Let's keep the train on the railroad tracks.
All right, I'm in full accord with my vice chair on that point. Mr. Khan, you want to step forward, sir? And while Mr. Khan's stepping forward, we're going to call Tiffany Guerra, Jerry and Yolanda Lopez. Would you please step forward? Mr. Khan?
Public speaking. Are you signed up?
Laws of the land.
Get signed up, bud. Come on.
Genocide,
Wake up.
enslavement.
Are these ladies signed up? Go get signed up. Now, man.
But I wanted to
Dude.
bring up the subject of drones. We were really hoping that this issue should be resolved as soon as possible. And rather than being aspirational, I think it's really critical that we do agendize it in the June meeting and get it done with. Because when we speak about drones, we need to look at it in the bigger universe as well. Just 2 weeks ago, the Los Angeles Police Department used from its helicopter a high-powered rifle to shoot somebody and kill somebody in Upland. Just
Really?
This is, they're claiming, the first time they used a helicopter, but that has happened. So now the question is that how are we looking at the use of these aerial platforms, as we call them, or the drones? Last time when we were here last month, we spoke about that how police departments are building their air forces, and basically that's what's going on. We need to look at it and how North Dakota, and we've come here before as well and shared that, has a law which allows police drones to be equipped with non-lethal weapons. There's a law being passed in Connecticut which allows the police drones to be equipped with lethal weapons. We have the Blue Lives Act in Congress right now that is giving police extraordinary amount of powers. We have 14 states that have legislation called Blue Lives Matter that are going to give police extraordinary amount of power. We have laws in the state of North Dakota that are criminalizing protesters and are allowing people to drive through protests and even just run over people as well. We have laws coming up in Arizona now that are talking about that if a protest is organized and it goes violent, the organizers of the protest are going to be held liable for that. We have had that happen in Los Angeles, but the other police commission has taken a restraining order against protesters from Black Lives Matter. So I think when we look at these drones, we have to look at it in the larger context of the extent of militarization of policing, the extent of militarization of policing of our bodies. So please reject the drones outright. We cannot have anything like suspended or like policy and protocol. We can't have these air forces flying over our planes. Thank you.
John. Tiffany Guerra. How do you pronounce your last name?
Thank you. It's Tiffany Guerra, is how I pronounce it. My comment is also regarding the sheriff's use of drones. On this, we know there are a few things we know to be true. We know the sheriff already has a wide, deep, expensive, and somewhat unlimited array of weaponry. We know they do not need drones to be able to navigate the situations they are proposing them for. More importantly, we know without a doubt that drones are used by police agencies and will be used by the local sheriff to gather information. This is called incidental data collection, and it already happens on a large scale across the U.S., and drones make the acquisition of this information more easy. In the largest county of Minnesota, Hennepin County, this is already happening. Drones were brought in quietly without that information being shared with the public. The first drone was used to look for a missing student, even though the drones were supposed to be grounded at that time, as police had promised. Drones in that county are now being used to gather information on citizens. They're sent up in the air to capture information, and they present this as being okay because whatever information they say does not show criminal behavior is supposed to be deleted within 30 days. Police there are not forthcoming about the full scope of the program, and requests from the public for information are improperly denied, if not willfully obstructed. This is where we are headed with the Sheriff's Department here. In Texas, the Montgomery Sheriff's Office is considering using the drones they already have to shoot tear gas canisters and rubber bullets. The reason provided for this is so they might be used in crisis situations, but there is no doubt this type of weaponry will and can be used on protesters and for whatever other reason the sheriff sees fit. And let's not forget who these weapons of surveillance and harm would be used on disproportionately. It would be the black and brown communities, the ones that are already over-policed, over-surveilled. That is who would be the most harmed. You have the choice instead to deny this encroachment, this further intrusion by police. Say no to drones.
Patrick, I think, I'm not sure, we'll find out. And then Yolanda Lopez. How do you pronounce your last name?
My name is Jerry Dietrich,
Dietrich, okay.
just like Marlene.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Anyhow, I am a member of the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. Although I am addressing the entire body today, I would like to direct my comments to Commissioner Rubin, because she is in charge of drones. The committee for the drones. Sorry. I was led to believe that the sheriff wouldn't use these drones until policy was made by this board. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so. To my surprise, in the search for the lost child last week, a sheriff's deputy announced at a press conference that the drone had been used to help look for the child. In my opinion, the sheriff will do what they want, no matter what this body sets forth as parameters. They will lie as always. So I feel the best resolution that this body can produce regarding the drones is no drones. Thank you.
Ms. Lopez. And then Ms. Monroy.
Good afternoon, everybody. I speak a little bit English, but it's better for me. Somebody traduce me. Soy una inmigrante oaxaqueña del estado de Oaxaca, en México, y aparte abogo por la educación de calidad en la ciudad de Campton.
Hello, I'm an immigrant from Oaxaca, Mexico, and I'm advocating for immigrant rights.
En la city of Campton. Se ha cometido conmigo una injusticia. Se me acusó de 3 cargos de felonía. Aquí estuvo involucrado el sheriff y la policía escolar de Campton en una, pienso yo, corrupción de parte de toda la ciudad de Campton, junto con los miembros de la mesa directiva del distrito escolar de Campton.
I was involved in 3 felonies in the Compton city, and she's stating that she was involved in 3 felonies in the city of Compton. And she was accused of 3 felonies in the city of Compton.
That has to be good interpretation of the 2 different things that she said.
Okay, I advocate for the quality education in city of Campton, and they accuse me for 3 felonies, and I think so this is a corruption department of sheriff, because never I received before to the report, and the complaint is the corruption is the department of sheriff, department of the school police, and a court too, because never I received the report. My papers in the court said they arrest me. Never they arrest me. Never I go to the jail. And when I receive in April 21, 2014, received papers to the court, and the felony is there. During 2 years, go to the court, and one civil case and one criminal case. They accused me to the criminal. During the meetings in the school, the police school coming and they want to arrest me. And I say, you arrest me here. They ask me for my documents, for my ID to California, and I am citizen to the United States now. And this is injustice. It's not only me, it's the other, my partner too, but it's not possible. She's here now. And I paid to the lawyer for civil case. The civil case is there now. It's a restraining order for the superintendent during 3 years. They don't permit go to the board meetings. They don't permit go to the schools. I'm in the jail in my property city. For during last year is my first presentation in public, support to the teacher for the corruption there. And my question is, why nobody doing nothing in Canton? Everybody has a problem there. Parents don't participate in the schools because they have experience with the police school. And now the case is in my partner and me as investigator too. Nobody support. We pay a lot of money, and that case is a federal government, and the federal government said only 3 police in Canton, but in our record is a lot of 3 police. Why you support me? Because I and represent to the Latino parents, we need a justice. Now, in this new administration in Washington, they don't want it they don't want it in person, don't have
They have no clock. They don't know what they're doing.
Ms. Lopez,
Right? There's no clock.
listen to me for a second. Thank you.
Blame it on those people. They're a bunch of goofs.
Follow up with our staff in terms of making sure we fully understand your concern. So, but your time is up right now. You've got to move on to the next person. So thank you very much. You'll talk to one of our staff members.
And
right?
sorry for my service.
In fact, you're standing next to one right now.
Sorry for my service.
No. Don't apologize. No, thank you, by the way. Thank you for...
But that affects my family, economical, psychology, everything. Please help me.
So talk to our staff members. Ms. Manuel? And then Audrey George. And then Adrian Alvarez.
Hi, good morning. I'm Edna Monroy with CJA, California Immigrant Youth Justice Alliance, and the Isonometic Coalition. I'm here to raise several concerns that have been raised previously. One of them is obviously, right, the use of drones against our own communities to continue to spy on us, to criminalize us, to murder us. So I think that's very worrisome. I've been here before to raise these concerns, and I definitely want to make sure that we continue to bring this up, that we continue listening to the community, and that there is a concrete next step to stop them altogether, and to use that budget that the sheriff is asking for in other resources that we actually need in our community, such as mental health, and to make sure that there is no ICE and police collaboration. The second concern that has been raised previously, actually, and I want to honor my colleague, my comrade, Claudia Rueda, who is right now in ICE custody after she got kidnapped by Border Patrol throughout collateral damage, that she actually stood here before you all at the previous commissioners meeting to bring awareness and justice to her mother, Teresa Vidal, that also got kidnapped. She's in her deportation proceedings for being undocumented, as retaliation for speaking up to the injustices and the collaboration that currently exists between ICE and the police and Border Patrol, going way over their 100-mile radius from the border. So I want to make sure that this is brought up. Again, no drones, no police and ICE collaboration. We need transparency and accountability and no retaliation when we, as community members, speak up, especially those detained in jails. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, before the next speaker, there are members of the public who are not being respectful to the speakers and to the commission itself. In particular, many of them are located on this side, whatever this side is, I don't know, left or right, depending on how you're looking. And making it very difficult.
No, look, this is the commission meeting, not your meeting, so Commissioner Rubin, go ahead.
That's racist.
Ma'am, go ahead.
When they talk, she said nothing. When they come, she said nothing. Right. Sitting over here in this section, she said nothing. That's discriminatory.
Well, I'm going to ask everybody in the audience, just be respectful of speakers, no comments. And by the way, we will hear from people, but we need to be respectful. Ma'am, we need to be respectful. So, thank you for your comment, Mr. Rubin. Let's proceed. Ms. George.
I spoke earlier about how difficult it is to hear, and there's a whole crowd of people over here, commentary, movement, and I'm here to listen. I am actually here to listen, not to be able to hear. So I don't know what we can do, but I don't want my hearing to be interfered with by noise over here, please.
Let's just everybody be respectful. Yes, Mr. Sue. Our counsel?
No, I was making a logistical. Other than we can maybe switch sides or potentially even take a break to...
Well, we're going to take a break as soon as we're finished with public comment. Let's get finished with it. Ms. George, go.
Yes, first I would Sheriff McDonnell to reverse his opposition to SB 54. I want to ask that you please also put the drones on the next meeting's agenda, please. Regarding drones, the LA Sheriff police communities that are mistrustful and terrified of your officers. And for black and brown residents, this is not based on a conception of being racially targeted, but on reality. Drones must be kept grounded and, in fact, returned to where they came from. LASD is already one of the most militarized law enforcement agencies in the country, so it's no surprise that residents feel that their presence is of an occupying force. The addition of drones would signify the structural and operational formation of LASD as an occupying institution that operates as a counterinsurgency force. Moreover, if drones become part of the department's already existing aerial platforms, they will eventually be armed. We know this. Using drones to surveil and shoot at people from the sky, the department is going to forget that the communities on the ground are human beings. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Will, Michael Wilson, and Republic.
I have a major in history from UCLA, and just like to remind everybody that at one point slavery was legal. The law is not bigger than justice. It's the pursuit of justice that finally banned slavery. And one of the foundational principles of this republic is that there's no taxation without representation. If people are being taxed, whether they're legal or illegal, quote unquote, they deserve representation. That's a foundational principle if you love the law. So I'm here to testify on behalf of so many parents that have been victimized, perhaps unwillingly or unknowingly by the Sheriff's Department. There seems to be a trend across school districts that are utilizing the Sheriff's Department as their private security to deny parents access to the legitimate processes of education, like the LCAP, where they're supposed to be represented and have a voice. Special needs parents that have the right to have advocacy. And somehow districts, like unfortunately many police departments, confuse people's demand for justice as aggressiveness, as insults. So many districts are painting parents that voice their concerns and demand justice as aggressors, as disruptors, and all they have to do without any due process is call the Sheriff's Department, and people are escorted from schools, from meetings, and banned without any due process. And sheriffs end up playing into the hands of corrupt school districts because there is no trial. In the case of Yolanda Lopez that spoke previously, she was brought to a court facing 3 felony charges. Somehow, the sheriffs were involved in legitimizing this accusation, even though there is no connection between the Sheriff's Department and the school district. Why were the Sheriff's Department allowing themselves to be used this way? Now, when you have poor people that have no way to defend themselves, not have to live with the stigma of being violent people. So we need to clear this up. It's a trend.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. And then Mr. Noel. And then Mr. Wilson.
George Mazzetti, former Director of Policy for Core, California. Any of you here who don't know who I am have no business sitting there. Okay? I worked with Sheriff Baca for 6 years to fix this creepy mess. See that pin? Baca gave it to me. You go see my comments in the Beverly Hill Patch. I confronted their people in the jail. You're afraid to talk about them. He broke the law. But they're doing him to protect Chief Beck, because he erased the audio to the 5515 Police Commission, which is a state and federal crime, and you don't care. And for 2.5 years, I've had published nationally that I called him a bigot. That means I got to hit my police on me, and you don't care. And that jail is a pig pen. Listen to what they're doing in there. A guy was trying to commit murder. They wouldn't take it. He's dead. He hit somebody big. I was a counselor 2 times. I heard the shrink say, it's okay to not go to sleep for a month or 2. You'll get used to it. The bathrooms are filthy. You're wasting your money. They just paint the psych ward and get this, people. It's 60 beds to 68 in the psych ward in the same room. Filthy bathrooms. And you have the chairs and seats down to 12 from 30. You're going to have violence in there. Now I'm here to work with you, or I'm going to destroy you all because I'm holding goods and I just gave it to Kim. Now they're trying to bring some sense to this mess. Now, you want to work with me, or do you all want to get wiped on the floor? Because guess what? You now have a responsibility. If that video breaks viral nationally before Beck and the police commissioner are arrested, I'm told by his boss in LAPD, guys, you know me and like me, there's going to be riots and burning because I told the people in Charlotte and Milwaukee, the city managers, I gave them this information. Are you familiar with the 2003 DOJ agreement and you that's been broken, that's sprayed 24,700 dead people? Because you don't take up care about internal affairs. How do you not know with the DOJ agreement? Took it to Benita Group, they had a DOJ last February. Don't care.
Mr. Mazzetti, your time's up.
Well, it's about time. You are now on the hook for dead people and fixing your filthy jail where I was. Now you're either going to talk to me or I'm going to make you look like fools. Because you people, I got told in court this week, I have no right to my civil rights. Because you people prevented me from phone calls for 3 or 5 days, 2 times.
Mr. Doyle. Step forward, sir. Be heard.
Good enough?
Good morning. You want to do this? This is my first time at this meeting, and I'm not familiar with the members of this commission. I imagine you are drawn to such a post out of a basic sense of decency. And regardless of your political leanings, I imagine that sense of decency is offended or at least disturbed by the Trump administration's ever-expanding deportation machine. But the department is your job to hold accountable is very much a part of that machine, whether or not its leaders view it that way. Last month I was at a meeting with the Sheriff's Chief of Staff and Deputy Sheriff concerning the department's role in immigration enforcement. I brought up the joint LASD-CBP raid that resulted in the arrest of Claudia Rueda's mother, Teresa. The discussion that ensued was very much a classic case of pass the buck. The raid itself, they said, had nothing to do with immigration enforcement. Teresa was released after questioning when it was determined she had nothing to do with the alleged drug operation being targeted. She was never, they said, asked about her immigration status. But she was almost immediately detained by Border Patrol and soon fighting for her right to stay in the country she calls home, where she has raised a family and built a life. She was saved for the moment from deportation only by a strong community and network of activists. Now, less than a month later, her community, her family, the apartment complex she used to call home, and her own daughter are targets of a campaign by Border Patrol that has nothing to do with law enforcement, nothing to do with creating safer communities, and everything to do with political retaliation and the stifling of dissent. And it is the department that you are charged with holding accountable that put a target on that community, a target on that apartment complex, and a target on that family. And unless you do your part to clearly and permanently separate law enforcement from immigration enforcement, you will find yourselves a part of that deportation machine. Thank you very much.
Put that sign down because people behind you cannot see in front through that sign. So, Mr.
They were not
Wilson.
complaining, they're fine with it.
We're fine with it.
They're fine, everybody's fine with it.
All right.
And it's the
Everybody's
First
fine.
Amendment.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, I don't know, did you, let me ask County Council whether he has any observations on all these signs. I mean, Mr. Sue?
Thank you, Chair. I think as we pointed out, as long as the signs are not disrupting the meeting, either for members of the public or members of the commission, then it's at the commission's discretion to continue with the meeting. To the extent that that sign does appear to be blocking people in the back, and they have no issue with it, then I think it's...
Wow.
Okay, that sounds fine.
Michael with YJC. I'm here, number one, to ask the Civilian Oversight Committee to look very deeply in the efforts of law enforcement. Look at the reality of those efforts and the history of those efforts. Every time crime has decreased, law enforcement asks for a higher budget. Every time there is community engagement with community and upliftment, and a time where we can come together and grow, law enforcement militarizes. Every time my communities, I'm a black man, has ever come to try and gain anything in my communities, law enforcement has militarized. I ask this commission to look at the reality of the oppressive forces within my community. The drones will not be a supportive factor. Because in reality, if you look at all the efforts up till now, you must think law enforcement must have failed if they still need more militarization. I ask you all to look at the immigration and the cooperation with ICE. We don't need ICE in our communities. I witnessed ICE mobilize in my community. I stand with every quote-unquote so-called undocumented human being. I don't know what that undocumented means, because guess what? I'm undocumented. My ancestors didn't have the right to be human. So who are we to pretend like this country gives or takes away the right to be a human? I ask that you say no to drones, and also look into the reality of the militarization. Ask the ICE agent who just shot himself in the head.
So we're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll resume promptly at 11:15.
Wow. You are really good.